Hi everyone, my name is Carol. I'm a Thermomix consultant here in Perth, Western Australia. I'm sure a lot of you know me pretty well by now. And I had a bit of a challenge. I was asked to do a video on making creme brulee, and when I went on to Cookidoo there are two recipes. So I thought we might do a cook-off to just see which one we might prefer. One is the traditional method where you make your creme brulee and then you bake it in the oven in a tray with water, and the other is we're just actually going to cook it in the Thermomix and pour it into the ramekins. Both you need to chill until they're firmly set, and then you do the creme brulee on the top just before serving so that it's nice and crisp and you get that nice crack when you pop it with your spoon. The first one that we're going to do is the one that's cooked in the Thermomix bowl. It's going to take us 5 minutes to prepare and about an hour and a half total time. So it's going to be very quick. So if you're after a dessert that's impressive but quick, then probably this is the one to go for. Okay, so we've got the creme brulee recipe up on the screen here. The first step is just 400 grams of pouring cream. So just over 400 grams of cream, 70 grams of white sugar. I'm just adding raw sugar. It might just make the custard a little bit darker, but it shouldn't affect the flavour. Some natural vanilla extract. All used to be using my homemade vanilla extract now. And 275 grams of eggs. It says approximately 5, so I've just got 5 eggs here. And 1 minute speed flick. This is just to mix the eggs. So this is basically just almost an egg custard, but it's very creamy. It's made with cream rather than milk. Next we're going to keep the measuring cup inserted, and that's just 30 minutes at speed 3. So it says that the creme should thicken whilst cooking. So it says prolong the time by up to 2 minutes if necessary. Okay, so we're hoping that it will thicken within the 13 minutes, but if not, just give it a little bit longer. That might depend on the temperature of your eggs actually, because obviously if they're cold, it's going to take a little bit longer to reach temperature, so maybe prolong the cooking time a little bit. Okay, so we've got a beautiful custardy mix in here. It has thickened a little bit whilst it's been cooking, so I think we're good to pop this into the ramekins. I'm going to move my Thermomix back a little bit. I'm also just going to use a strainer, just in case there's any sort of cooked egg in there that's going to affect the texture of the creme brulee. So you want the ramekin to be fairly full, but you've still got to leave room for the sugar topping. Okay, so I'm just going to let those cool and pop them into the fridge once they've cooled a little bit, and then we'll come back to the second method, which is the more traditional method, where we're going to mix the mix in the Thermomix but not cook it. We shall then just pop it into the oven in a sort of bain-marie. It's a tray that you put water in, and you have your ramekins about the water up to about halfway through on the ramekins. So catch you soon. Hey, so we're on the creme brulee cook-off part 2. Yesterday I made the creme brulee, which is a quick and easy cookie in the bowl recipe. However, it didn't work. So my creme brulee is still actually quite runny. I've emptied them back out of the ramekins and into a bowl. I'm actually going to use that to make some ice cream. I think what happened was that I was just a little bit under the required weight in eggs, and also I just added a little bit more cream, combined with maybe it not being hot enough. Maybe my eggs were a bit too cold from the fridge. So I'll definitely give it another go, make sure that the egg to cream ratio is correct. And also my cream had separated a bit, so instead of being consistent throughout, the fat had separated out a bit. So I think I learned quite a bit from that trial. I'm going to shake my cream, make sure that this is all consistent. The recipe we're going to try is the traditional creme brulee. So this is one that's actually baked in the oven. So we're just going to use the Thermomix to make the mixture. Okay, so the prep time is only 10 minutes, but it does take longer because you've got to bake it in the oven and then you've got to let it chip. All right, so we're going to start with 600 mils of whipping cream, pouring cream. Open the other side. There's a 50% chance of getting it wrong. I get it wrong nearly all the time. So it's the whole pack, the whole 600 mils. So the previous recipe actually only used 400 mils, but it's got less egg in this. Pouring cream, we're going to insert the measuring cup, which means put the lid on, as you all know now. And this is going to cook 4 minutes at 90 degrees and speed 2. So the previous recipe heated the mixture to 80 degrees. So maybe that extra 10 degrees is going to be the difference. Also, the oven temperature is 150 degrees, so that again is quite a bit higher than the 80 degrees that we cooked the previous recipe at. Okay, so we've just got just under 2 minutes left to go, and we're on 70 degrees, 75 degrees. The next step is to add some vanilla essence and some caster sugar. So the caster sugar I've just actually made in my TM5 at the back there, and I had 250 grams of sugar, 15 seconds at speed 6. So it's definitely something that you should not be buying anymore. If you've got a Thermomix, make your own caster sugar, make your own ice and sugar, and actually make your own vanilla paste too. Just buy some vanilla beans. There are some places online that you can buy vanilla beans, Australian vanilla beans, and just make your own. So with 20 seconds to go, we're on 85 degrees. I really want to make sure this does get up to 90. So I'm actually just going to increase that. Let's give it another 20 seconds just to make sure it gets up to the temperature that it's set at. A little bit is going to depend on the temperature of your cream, if it's come out of the fridge or if it's been stood at room temperature for a little while. So on your Thermomix, the home screen, you've got your time, temperature and speed. Your temperature will have 2 settings. It's got the temperature that you've set it at, and just above it there's a smaller number, and that is the temperature that it is actually at. And there's a red line that goes around. The red mark there is where it should be, and the red bar is where it's at. Well, it's not quite up to 90 yet. I really want this to work. We've got people coming around for dinner tonight. Come on, get up there. Okay, I'm just going to whip that up to 95. So we can get it up to 90 that way. So even with a guided recipe, this just actually shows that you're still in control. You can control the time, you can control the temperature. It is now at 90 degrees. Fantastic. Alright. Next, we want some vanilla bean paste, a teaspoonful, and 60 grams of caster sugar. As I said, we've just made this in the TM5. So I am going to put the full 60 in. Obviously, when you've made this, you might think that it is sweet enough and you can add a little bit less sugar. But we're going with the recipe for the first time. I think it's always good to go with a recipe for the first time, and then you can adjust subsequently. So we're going up to speed 2.5. Got 20 seconds and we're just mixing. We're actually not applying any heat. It's telling me that it's still at 75 degrees, that little small number. Now it's at 70. It's cooling down a little bit. And I guess the next step is going to be adding the eggs. Turn the speed selector to speed 3. Meanwhile, follow the next step. And if I'm right, we're going to be adding 7 egg yolks. The egg whites I've got separated here because my favourite vanilla ice cream uses egg whites, and it makes it like a soft meringue, and then you add your cream to it. So instead of the cream, I'm actually going to add my previous creme brulee mix, which is cream and eggs and vanilla and a bit of sugar. So I'm hoping it's going to turn out really well. Alright, turn to speed 3. 1, 2, 3, and add the yolks through a hole in the mixing bowl lid. It takes a couple of seconds just to get up to speed 3 because it's hot. When it's hot, it never goes immediately up to any speed. It just is a safety thing. It just goes up more slowly. Using a fine mesh sieve, strain into a jug and then pour evenly into the prepared ramekins. So I've got my ramekins here. Although it says to pour it into a prepared jug, I'm actually just going to use this jug slightly. You should always lift to reposition your Thermomix because the scales are in the feet, so you don't want to drag it across the surface of your bench. Alright. The sieve is just draining out any, like a little bit of egg white that's left sometimes can be a little bit stringy. And next, we're going to add water to the baking dish to come halfway up the sides of the ramekins. Cover with a sheet of alfoil and we're going to bake for 1 hour at 150 or until it is set. Okay, so I'm going to cheat a little. I'm actually going to use some warm water from the kettle to get these babies cooking a bit faster. So we're going to fill it up to about halfway up the ramekin. Should be fine. Just going to pop some alfoil over the top. Now we're just going to pop this in the oven. Set for 1 hour, but I'll probably check it about 45-50 minutes. And if they're set, then we'll take them out, pop them into the fridge, and chill them off. And we'll show you how you do the brulee on the top once these are ready. I'm sure these are going to work. And whilst those are baking, I'm just going to throw pre-clean on here. I'm just going to cancel this recipe, swipe across, bring up pre-clean, and we'll just go with universal clean because we just had a bit of an egg custard mix in there. Once that's done, have a think about starting the ice cream.
Yes.
Okay, so this is my husband Peter, who's now going to try bruleeing the creme brulees. He's put on some, is it just granulated sugar?
It's granulated raw sugar.
Raw sugar.
Just doing a thin layer first, then I'll put some more on the top.
Because I just put in a bit of extra sugar on there.
Yep.